Okay, you're on.
Hello, again, this is Heather Lester. I'm a landlord tenant mediator with Utah Community Action, and we're doing a series of videos that goes along with the Utah Housing Coalition's toolkit. It's the renters toolkit that they put out, actually now called the tenants toolkit, but I'm going to refer to that pretty frequently within this session. Um, this could be an actual short session because it's talking about resources. And the main thing, I mean, if you're looking at the toolkit now, it's towards the end of the toolkit. So we've always had the ability to put different phone numbers in there for different. They're actually broken up by category. If you can see here, you can. So it's put up, which is awesome. So there's pages and pages of it. Actually, there's 4 pages approximately of resources. So the one thing we can vet is that this is a recently updated version of this toolkit, which was done in January. Likely there could be some other resources, especially since all of the things that have happened within the last couple of months. There's likely some resources that are intertwined, mixed together, potentially. They may or may not, obviously there's legal resources and alternatives. There's some different options that have been updated from that. So calling any of these numbers will get you to the right place. But we wanted to do a session specifically on resources because that's always the question. It's, you know, for example, when we started doing the first session, which is being a successful tenant, that's helpful. We know majority of that, obviously, driving that home with communicating and documenting and cooperating. This is kind of part of cooperation. Um, if I'm behind on my rent, or if I have an issue to where I need to reach out to maybe an agency or a another company or anyone, even a state office for assistance or understanding, this is where I need to go. So again, being a successful tenant does come back to resources. How do I find the information? How do I utilize the information? And how do I make it work for my situation? So um, I'll spare you the details of going through every single category, but just knowing when you click on it, the information's there. Um, by all rights and measures, as far as going, kind of scrolling back up to the top of the first page of the resource numbers, um, this is not to substitute in any way whatsoever the United Way, the 211, or by dialing 211. They're completely inclusive, extremely up to date. It's nothing printed, it's nothing on a PDF toolkit. They will give you first and foremost the best resources to go to, especially within current crises too. So I utilize 211 a lot. Again, you can call 211, you can text them, you can go to their web page, which I actually find pretty helpful for clients or tenants or even landlords that have multiple issues. I can get all the different referrals and resources all in one spot. So it just kind of depends on what your comfortability level is with getting some of this information. Um, we did talk before, obviously, workforce services, they have a lot of, I mean, aside from just unemployment stuff going on right now, workforce services has a whole gamut of things that can be helpful. So that's right there under employment, but just know that I would still reach out, go to their website, see what options they had, even for emergency crisis stuff. Um, there's obviously domestic violence coalition there. Um, a lot of shout outs, especially within eviction specific. Since I do landlord tenant mediation, I do see a lot of not only eviction notices, but potentially needing to reach out to the Utah Apartment Association. They're very helpful. They do a lot of stuff and interactive things with their landlords. Just understanding kind of what they do and understanding kind of the overall umbrella of how the property managers and how the apartment complexes work. Sometimes that can be a good resource. um, Going forward too, within the eviction realm, within the eviction umbrella, um, the Utah Self Help Center. Okay, there's not only, so it's utcourts.gov, utcourts.gov, and again referring to the Housing Coalition's previous videos. There's one done by the Utah Legal Services, and then also one done by the Self Help Center. So understanding what the Self Help Center does, and then also understanding the website that they use. So going to UT Courts, and that's plural with an S, .gov, that number one will help you find accessibility to legal documents, understanding the laws as they're written within those codes and the statutes, and then being able to utilize and access the ability to make a filing or to answer some sort of complaint or summons or whatever you may have received. Even if it's not eviction, it could be debt collection, anything. It really is very self-help. Obviously, it's right there. It's self-help, the help center. It's very user-friendly. I've used it countless times. I've referred a lot of people there, and it is very helpful. So again, they have a lot of different ways to reach them. The access to justice, there's a lot of, it's through the Utah State Bar. They do a lot of um, pro bono, which is another word for like volunteer attorney representation, debt collection, eviction representation. They're always expanding. They're continuously growing, even as we speak right now. Just understanding how to get into maybe finding an attorney, getting representation for a hearing, potentially asking legal questions. There are a lot of legal clinics that I've recommended to a lot of clients and tenants that they're now doing virtually. I don't know how that will continue, whether it'll be virtual and in real time when we kind of get back to a new normal. But understanding that those resources are there and being able to access an attorney, making and reaching out, it's like Justice for All. There's the Legal Aid Society, Nonprofit Legal. They're all listed right here, obviously on page 24. But feel free to like reach out and see exactly how it works for you. If you need an answer to a legal question, or if you want to try, let's just say mediation. I'm obviously going to say that I love mediation because it's what I do. It's my heart. It's my soul. Um, but understanding having the power of a third party person, third party neutral, it's not representation for the tenant, it's not representation for the landlord, but it is somebody coming in with a third voice saying, this is the scenario. How can we reach and find a middle ground? I think there's a lot of power in that. Utah Community Action, obviously, we've had this program for quite some time. There's other mediation services around. There's a Mountain Mediation is in Park City, Summit County. There are several others that do kind of off ad hoc, kind of off the cuff mediations. A lot of case managers that you'll find through any of the CAP agencies, housing authorities, even throughout the road home with like landlord tenant liaisons or whatever. They do the same thing. And basically they're trying to assist to remedy a crisis. They're trying to assist to help you to bridge that communication gap, should you have that. So never minimize the fact that that third party person can assist you, but then at the same time, also recognizing the need for legal representation should you need that as well. So again, going back through 211 is the best resource to kind of give you the overall encompassing options for resources, okay? Within the toolkit, we put a couple forms in there. We were pretty excited about that this year because not only do we have phone numbers and a whole listing of categories, but for example, on page 26 that you can see on your screen right now, that's sexual harassment, and it's actually done through the Department of Justice. And so there's a civil rights division through that. In the instance that this is a scenario you may be dealing with, there's resources again for that. So just understanding, reaching out and talking to different folks can help you to kind of remedy or at least inform and educate yourself on things that you may or may not be dealing with that you may or may not know are justified or okay. On page 27, which is the next page, that again is a self-help. So that utcourts.gov that I mentioned, it doesn't just cover eviction. It doesn't just cover debt collection. It actually, you can find information on all of those different areas. And for just sheer, fun, I'll say fun, but just for sheer fun, go on there and check it out. Even if you don't have a legal issue, understanding the templates, the forms, the deadlines, showing exactly what the criteria is, kind of go on there and just be familiar with anything. And as they say, knowledge is power, right? So try to educate yourself on that. There's a couple more things within this toolkit that you probably find helpful. Again, I'm with Utah Community Action with their landlord tenant program. We did put this in there just for resources to show the community action program. That's Salt Lake County and Twilla specific on these, but we're part of a bigger network, which is the Utah Community Action Partnership. So even within the rural districts, there's community action partnerships throughout, whether they do the same similar things or even, potentially into housing, rental assistance, lots of different options. Just know to reach out. There's a bigger partnership. There's actually nationwide organizations that do assist with these types of things. Um, and within and even outside of community action agencies, there's also housing authorities pretty much within any rural district as well. So 211 will obviously answer those questions, but just knowing that you can go through and look and Google and try to find different options for whatever you may have and what you might be dealing with. Again, at the end of the toolkit too, just to finish it out, there are two other forms. These are both um, Utah Legal Services forms. Um, and one of them specifically is just a deposit disposition, and then the other one is a deficient conditions form. Both of these forms can actually be found within the Utah Legal Services website. It's under resources. You can find these and kind of research and see if they fit the criteria or the issue or the conflict that you're having. These are, again, forms for tenant rights options for you. And I probably could ramble on. I actually said this was going to be one of the smaller sessions of these videos, but I could go on and on and on because there are so many resources out there. But again, it is that accessibility. So try to determine what your issues are, even within a hurried eviction crisis. There are still options. So understanding resources, reaching out. I'm always here as far as availability. The Housing Coalition is always front and center. Anybody you reach out to can pretty much guide you in the right direction. But this toolkit is very vital to helping you to find where you need to be or what options are out there. And I truly think that there's going to be a lot more coming. There's going to be a lot more clarity, a lot more direction driven type of resources that are coming. So we all just want to hold on to that and stay informed and just kind of be in the front and center of how we can affect our own crises. So I will reiterate again, because I did already in several of the other videos, but just making sure that you're always, first and foremost, even if it's just getting resources, communicate effectively, make sure that you understand kind of what you're dealing with, and then, following through, documenting everything you're doing, and then cooperating with whether it be your landlord, whether it be case management agencies, whether it be mediation, whether it be representation by an attorney. Any kind of cooperation is going to help you throughout the process and in the long run to, sustain and basically to kind of overcome any crises that you have. So I hope you enjoy the toolkit. I think it's definitely, like I said, as it was updated as of January 2020, and we're pretty excited about it. Hopefully, you'll enjoy it as well. If you have any feedback or any questions for contents or even suggestions for potential changes or additions, we're always ready to hear that. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.